The Lexus RX has been with us in one form or another since the late 90s, and in that time it has always established a reputation for being a premium SUV that has some pretty impressive running costs to back it up. Now there's a brand new one, and it comes up against a whole load of rivals that aim to make the RX's life a little bit tougher than it was before. So if you are looking for an SUV with an electrified powertrain, why should you be considering the RX? That's what we're going to find out today. This latest generation of RX definitely evolves on the design of its predecessor, but it's a little bit more impactful than it used to be. That front nose seems a bit pointier and a bit more shark-like, while around the back we've got the usual light bar that we've come to expect from cars in this segment. Overall, it's a really cool design, though it does look like one that is quite Americanized, but you can't blame it for that, seeing as this car is so incredibly popular in the States. The interior of the RX has been designed with what Lexus calls the idea that it's like the reins of a horse. So all your major controls are within clear and easy reach. Now, marketing aside, you can see kind of what they're on about, because everything you can get to nice and simply via this really large touchscreen, which is standard on all models. Interestingly, this is one of the latest Lexuses to do without the touchpad in the middle, which I think is a good thing, because the touchpad on the old cars was not good. Really difficult to use and just not very precise. This new touchscreen is much sharper, really simple to navigate. And then ahead of you, you've got some nice, clear, multifunction steering wheel controls and a nice digital dashboard ahead. It's backed up by a really good sense of build quality, and I like this side hinged glove box too down the middle, so passenger and driver can get to it when you're on the move. I think it's a really spacious and well-made interior, but it's that tech that really does help elevate things. Though the RX isn't a dissimilar length to its predecessor, the wheelbase is slightly longer, which means that it's able to deliver slightly more legroom than before. And actually, with the seat in my position, I've got plenty of legroom and plenty of room for my feet. And most importantly, it's a nice, relatively flat floor. So whoever sat in the middle isn't going to get too short-changed when it comes to legroom. However, I am finding that this headroom is quite restricted. Now, I'm not overly tall, I'm just under 6 foot, and my head is scraping the top there. So if you are taller, or if you're going to have taller passengers, I think they're going to struggle for headroom somewhat, which is interesting for a car of this size. However, elsewhere things are good. We've got ISOFIX points on both the outermost seats there, and we've got USB-C chargers in the middle, so there shouldn't be two arguments when it comes to charging devices. You also get independent controls for heating and ventilation and some nice little vents. Seat backs, nice pockets there, and some very deep side bins too. So practicality wise, I think it's really good. I just feel that that headroom area is slightly limiting, and certainly not what you get from a car like a Mercedes GLE or a Audi Q7. SUVs like the Lexus RX are designed to be family-friendly vehicles, and as well as pushchairs and prams, they're designed for dogs. Now, the RX has 461 litres of storage space back here. Now, it is quite a high load lip, so Marley, going to be able to do it? Come on, up, 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 up. So he's got plenty of room in there to lounge about, but he would actually have more space, around 25 litres more in the Mercedes GLE hybrid, and quite a lot more in a regular diesel SUV. But that said, it is a nice square area, and there's not too much of a lip, although smaller dogs are going to find it a bit more of a challenge to jump inside, so you may want to get some sort of ramp situation going. Nice square area, and obviously Marley seems quite at home too. Lexus and of course Toyota are very well known for their hybrid technology, and it's something that they've streamlined and perfected over time. It'll come as no surprise that the latest RX is also available with hybrid systems. Now, the entry point to the RX range will be with a traditional, or as they say, self-charging hybrid. However, what Lexus say will dominate the bulk of sales will be this plug-in hybrid version. Now, it combines a 4-cylinder petrol with battery and electric motor assistance. And Lexus say that you should be able to get about 40 miles of electric-only range, which when you're driving around urban environments or around houses like I am right now, is really relaxing. It drives like a full EV, really good throttle response, everything is nice and easy. Lexus says you should get up to 256 mpg, and as with all plug-in hybrids, you need to take this with a pinch of salt, because that figure is taken when the car is fully charged and you're driving it around on mainly electricity. So just be wary of that if you are looking at this or indeed another plug-in hybrid. What is really clever about this latest Lexus RX though is that when the battery is fully depleted, it reverts to being a normal self-charging hybrid. So whereas with a usual plug-in hybrid, when the battery power is gone, you're left with a small engine which is dragging along a heavier than normal car, this version can still run on electricity at slow speeds and will actively try and recharge the batteries, but it can drive on EV power alone at certain periods, even though there's actually no energy left in the batteries. And I think that's really, really clever. What is the driving experience like? Well, around urban environments, around town where I'm driving it now, it's really comfortable. The ride quality is good. The steering is actually quite light, and that makes it agile and easy to drive around. Lexus says that the RX will do 0 to 60 miles an hour in just under 6.5 seconds, which is pretty pacey for a car of this size. And it gets up to speed really nicely, coming onto a dual carriageway now. Plenty of easy torque to access. At speed, there's a little bit of wind noise that's coming from the front and some tyre noise coming from the back, interrupting an otherwise quite quiet experience. But you've got a nice upright view of the road ahead. You've got good levels of visibility, though over the shoulder is somewhat restricted by those quite large pillars. Obviously, big SUVs are designed to cover big distances in good levels of comfort, and I think the RX does that very well, and it has done in previous generations too. In fact, the last generation RX I feel was pretty much as comfy as this car, so if you're not looking at buying a brand new version, then I'd definitely check out the previous generation RX, of which there are plenty to choose from currently on motors.co.uk. This car though does seem to be programmed with an awful lot of systems that like to remind you at all times of things that are going wrong. So there are speed bongs, there are blind spot bongs, there are all types of assistance systems, which I agree have to be in cars these days to make them as safe as possible, but it seems like it's shouting at me all the time, and I can't quite work out how to switch everything off. That's something you just find with Lexus and Toyota's cars from time to time, but it would be quite nice if it was just a little bit quieter, because in general the car itself is quiet. It's going to take around about 4 hours to charge up that battery when it's fully depleted via a home wall box, so you're going to be absolutely fine plugging this in overnight. It'll be ready to go in the morning. And of course, like all plug-in hybrids, the RX is going to be at its most efficient when it's kept topped up. You need to keep charging it in order to get the best possible fuel consumption. After that, they just don't tend to deliver all that well. That said, because you've got that background of a self-charging hybrid setup, it's not going to be as dramatic as in some other plug-in hybrids. And of course, the fact that this RX delivers CO2 emissions of between 25 and 26 grams per kilometre means that this is going to be high up on the list if you are a business user or a company car user. Interestingly enough, Lexus is also adding a range-topping engine to this car, which adds a turbocharger to the petrol engine. I think that's going to give it not only more power, but some real flexibility when it comes to when you've run out of electricity. That will of course bring quite a premium. This is already quite a premium car. This one today that we're driving is around £72,000, so it's quite a decent wedge of cash. When it comes to the driving experience, I'd say it doesn't feel quite as sharp as something like a Mercedes GLE. That feels definitely more on the dynamic end of things. I'd put it closer towards something like a Volvo XC90, which favours comfort and of course has that plug-in hybrid powertrain to offer as well. The steering in this car is very light, and that's something that shines through, but also it's just how quiet it is that is very impressive. The latest RX definitely ties in with what its predecessors have offered. It's very efficient, very premium feeling inside, and it's packed full of technology. It's a bit of a shame that it falters in terms of rear seat headroom and outright boot space too. But actually, if you do want a slightly off-the-wall SUV that has all the comfort, refinement and reliability you're looking from a car with a Lexus badge on the front, then I think it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you for watching this motors.co.uk new car review on the Lexus RX. Now, give us a like below if you have enjoyed this video, and let us know in the comment section what you think of the RX. Would you pick it as your next SUV? And since you're here, please remember to hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video.